Today is going to be another episode of Dave's Old Junk. I promise here, real soon we'll get back to our regularly scheduled programming of classic and antique tractors. Still working. Haven't gotten the field yet, so. Before our big swap meet we have coming up here, there's one in Le Sueur, Minnesota that's like one of the known largest around for early tractor hit and miss stuff, primitives. A lot of people that decorate restaurants and things like that go there to buy this stuff, and vendors come from multiple states. That'll be next Friday. I like to go through, play with some of my relics, and then it reminds me of the parts I'm looking for, especially when you're dealing with these engines that can be 100 years old. So today we're going to do an old/cold start and run these because it's been a while. First up is an IH LB. It's a 1.5 to 2.5 horse 4-stroke gas engine. They're pretty common. Recently they've kind of gone up in value. They're kind of all over the place. This is not a hit miss. This is a butterfly governed engine, but not like in a traditional carburetor sense. They have a head, or in the head they have a butterfly. That carburetor, it's not a carburetor, it's just basically a mixer. So every time you start this thing, you turn this dial in and out to get the right fuel air mixture, and then this is like a air intake and a choke. This hasn't been started since last summer, and this morning it was fairly cold. So not real cold, but it's 40 degrees earlier, so still kind of cold for an engine start. We'll dig this guy out. We'll work on this old Fairbanks Morse Z too and tell the story. This is a 1922 by the serial numbers. You can see the patent number on there. It's from 1917. This is a true hit miss. This is a 1.5 rated, 500 RPM. I'll tell their story. We'll dig them out, see if we can get them going. Okay, dug her out. Couple things about this. This has a magneto on it. No buzz coils, no battery. Water hopper, keep it cool. Something a little different about them LAs and LBs is you'll notice that the flywheel for the crank doesn't line up with the pulley. This is like gear reduced and run off the cam. And it's got a pulley on for a flat belt or a V. It's kind of cool. Reason there's a couple zip ties on here. The top one is just to keep that plug wire from laying over and arcing to the push rod. The one down there on the mixer is because them threads are stripped, and I'm just trying to keep it sealed tight, and to my knowledge nobody makes replacement mixers for these yet. And what else we got here? This here is supposed to sling oil in. There's like a mat here the oil sits in, drips, to lubricate the rocker arms and the valves. So I'm going to cheat a little bit and dump hot water in just to warm it up a little bit. Dump some oil on it, and we'll see if it starts. I'm sure all the dust in here from sweeping and all that, sticking all this, there's supposed to be a cover that goes over this, and a cover for the top of the hopper. I don't have either. You can buy repops, but I really don't do anything with this engine, so it's good the way she is. Enough. We'll run it long enough to do an oil change. I don't think it's had an oil change in 20 years. I'm going to start with about one turn out. We're going to choke it. There's the throttle. It changes speed only maybe 50 to 100 RPMs. That's wide open. Idle her down. Not a whole lot. See how much faster the flywheel spins compared to the pulley. And to shut her down, turn the gas off. Just like that. Well, the old Fairbanks Morse Model Z's dug out. I'll kind of give a quick once-over on this critter. It's older, more simplistic, but more complicated to operate. First off, these are very common engines, and they were very inexpensive, mass-produced back in the 20s. And they call these dishpan Z's because of the flywheel, the way it looks. There's basically two variations of this engine. One was green, and one was the red. The red was the economy model, which came with buzz coils and a battery, where the green one, which was slightly more expensive in the time, had a magneto on it. This came off my mom's side family on a farm up north. So this was actually one of them there that was probably there before they had electricity, if I had to guess. It's probably like a water pump or something. If you think about even just having 10 head of cattle and you had to sit with a stroke pump and pump stock tanks all the time, having one of these would be quite awesome. So sometime, who knows when, 40s, 30s, whatever, Grandpa must have did the buzz coil delete because we got like a regular Chevy coil, 6 volt on there. It would have had a buzz coil. This is off a Model T. This is the wrong one, but I'll probably try to find the correct setup for it. These have grease cups everywhere, so everything's open. See the piston and the crankshaft and everything turn. Pretty primitive, just get full of dust. So you got to come in here and once in a while crank your grease cups down. You'll notice on the front here, there's not a rocker arm on the intake valve. Just pulls it in on its own. It has a governor in here. If it overspeeds, that rod opens up and just holds the exhaust valve open, and then it just kind of coasts to a stop or slows it down. Pretty interesting. There's no, without a crankcase, there's no oil. So you have an oiler on it. And this oiler you set up to do 1 drip every 10 seconds. So 6 drips per minute. Don't forget to start it. Don't forget to turn it off. I forgot to turn it off before, and then you go to restart it, and you have a smoky mess. So we're going to try to get this one fired up. But I'll tell you right now, it's nowhere as near as loyal as the IH over there. Another thing, this one has a crank. Kind of nice to have the original crank. I don't advise using it. You might be wearing a set of your summer teeth. Some are here, some are there. It flies off. It hasn't caught me in the face, but I did smash my finger really good, so you're just better off cranking on the flywheel. This also has a mixer. Really primitive. I wouldn't even call it a carburetor. You have this cast iron. Kind of acts like a choke. It just blocks the airflow, so you just kind of got to figure out where it wants to run. So we'll see if it'll cooperate. regulates the speed by regulating when it fires, not like a butterfly monitor. Well, that started much better than I anticipated. Normally she'd be a little fussy. Well, both of these old timers fired right up and performed real well for the camera. Pretty amazing. That kind of puts me in the mood for the threshing shows and the spring swap.